folks, I'm Vasel here, and welcome to another Best of Publisher. Today we're taking a look at Wizkids. Now, Wizkids came onto the scene, well actually they burst onto the scene back in the year 2000. They were started by Jordan Wiseman, who's probably best known for BattleTech and the different things they're making that game. And he's really kind of someone who's always trying to push the envelope with innovation, and he did when he started Wizkids, because it came at this point, there was in the late 90s, there were collectible card games everywhere. They came out with Mage Knight, which was a collectible miniatures game. But not only was it collectible and a miniatures game, which had not been done before, but also they were pre-painted, which was neat. It was a completely new fantasy universe, and they had click bases. This was a new concept where when you took damage, your stats would change, but your stats were all on the figure itself. And this took off like a storm. Just a bit after coming out, they were in the top 10 largest tabletop companies in the world. They became very big. In 2003, they were bought by Topps, best known for making baseball cards. Topps was bought by another company, and eventually in 2008, they shut down Wizkids. That was it. So they had all these clicks games that they had been making. They made Hero Clicks and Sports Clicks and Horror Clicks and BattleTech, that Crimson Skies. They had made like a Mech Warrior Clicks game and things. And they kind of disappeared for a year or so. And then in 2009, they were bought by NECA, who owns a lot of different properties, a big toy company. And they came in, and instead of the miniatures thing, they started making board games. One of the first board games that they came out with, they had Warriors, the collectible dice game, but the dice game in a box. But they also came out with a Star Trek cooperative game from Dr. Rainer Knizia, and it was like a completely new company. In fact, they usually call it Wizkids A and Wizkids B. Totally different staff, totally different things. And Wizkids has evolved and changed over the years. Here are my 10 favorite games from Wizkids. Number 10. Major League Baseball Sports Clicks. Now, I like baseball. It's my favorite sport because I think it's the most like a board game. And I understand a lot of people think it's boring, but I find it fascinating and interesting. And Major League Baseball Sports Clicks was a, unfortunately, collectible game in which you had different characters, and you put them there and you played baseball with them, and with a click style thing. And I had a lot of fun with it. The game was actually designed by Jay Little, who is probably more well known these days for having designed X-Wing. But this was a big deal to me. I played this, and it was also a huge disappointment because they were supposed to make like classic players, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and all that jazz, and they never did, and then it never went anywhere. It kind of fizzled. This was pretty close to when Wizkids was about to go off the scene. So that was unfortunate. I thought it was a really fun game, though, Major League Baseball Sports Clicks. Number 9 just came out. Wizkids has recently hired Zev Schlesinger, formerly from Z-Man Games, and Zev is someone who always has an eye out for unique and kooky and weird and interesting games, and you're definitely seeing a lot of those come out from Wizkids, to the point where this top 10 list might be completely different in 2 years. But this one is Burke's Gambit. This is one of these new games, and Burke's Gambit is a social deduction game. There's a lot of those out these days, but this one is essentially kind of like the thing on a ship. Someone has a parasite in them, but we don't know who it is. Even the person who has it doesn't know who it is. And as time goes by, the different characters are trying to figure out who it is, because some of them are bad. They want to get this parasite, take it back to Earth, and do experiments, and everyone else just wants to jettison the person with the parasite off the ship. And so there's like multi-layers of things going on there, but it's also very quick, very easy, pretty fun. Burke's Gambit. Number 8 also recently came out from Wizkids, and this is Assault of the Giants. This is a giant game, no pun intended, with big. You can buy it either with the miniatures painted or not painted. They look good, really unpainted, but it's fun to have painted miniatures. And each person's controlling a clan of giants, whether you're hill giants or storm giants or fire giants or ice giants, and you're just moving around. It has a really cool card system. This is designed by Andrew Parks, who's a really great designer. This is not the only game of his on this list. But you have this card play, but you also have some dice combat with cool miniatures. It's kind of like this dudes on the map, except dudes on the map are giants on the map. There's little giant hunters that you're sending around after other people's giants. A really solid game. If you want to see it, we've done a playthrough on this channel. Number 7 is a game that kind of just fizzled out, unfortunately, but I really enjoy it, and that's Trains and Stations. Trains and Stations by Eric Lang is a dice game that uses dice that look very similar to those from Warriors, where you were using these dice to build tracks and things between different cities and then collecting things. Now, Wizkids probably made this game too small. They probably didn't put the effort into the components that I would have put it. I think a bigger, more robust game, maybe with some more variety between maps, but I still think the concept of this game is a lot of fun. I really enjoy playing it. Trains and Stations. Number 6 is Quarriors. I keep mentioning Quarriors. I should probably talk about it. Quarriors was a dice building game. Quarriors was something else that kind of changed the industry because up to this point, there had been deck building games, Dominion and Thunderstone, and there was Arctic Scavengers, and there was all these card ones, and then this one was dice, where you threw the dice in a bag, you pulled them out, and rolled them. Now, the game was a fairly simple game in which you put out creatures, and you attacked everyone else's creatures, and then you hope to have your creatures still around on your turn so that you would get points for them, scoring glory points. And they really, I think, upped the game. Quarmageddon added some to it, but Quarterfax, I thought, really added some more options to the game and is really the best way to play it. There's a lot of different sets out there, but if you only get the regular Quarriors and then buy the Quarterfax expansion, that's your best bet. Number 5 is the Mage Knight board game. Now, this really was a surprise to people, I think, because Mage Knight was known, and by the way, Mage Knight's not on my list. I had fun playing it back in the day, but Mage Knight is a miniatures game where you move around, but it's in this cool fantasy universe. Well, Wizkids announced they're making a board game of it. Well, okay, right, ho-hum type thing. Vlada Vasel's designing it. What? And this game is deep. It's heavy. It uses a deck building to some degree. As you are using different cards to move your characters around on the board and go and attack different creatures and build up your party. It is like an adventure game for heavy gamers. Very intriguing, really cool game, Mage Knight the board game. Number 4 is pretty similar, and that's Star Trek Frontiers. This one just came out last year. It is essentially the same game as Mage Knight the board game, except they did the Star Trek universe. Now, there's some differences, but you're flying your ships around, you are discovering new civilizations, you're deciding whether to attack planets or to peacefully negotiate with them. Again, with this deck building, they took some of the lessons they learned from Mage Knight, made it even better. Just a really solid game. Number 3 is Star Trek Fleet Captains. I talk about Star Trek Fleet Captains all the time. I call it Star Trek in a box because this is not just an episode of Star Trek, it's like a whole season. You have different ships and you're moving them around. And as you get to different places, you can fight, you can beam people down the planets. You almost everything from the series is, and I mean all the different series, is in this some way or other. It has a kind of a deft shuffling where you pick a few different decks and put them together to make your deck at the beginning of the game. So you might have different captains from Star Trek in each deck. You'll have different ships. The game originally was the Federation and the Klingons, but then they added the Romulans and Dominion later on. It's mostly a 2-player game, although there is a decent 3-player game thing once you get one of the other factions. Component quality, not so good, right? That's unfortunate, but the game itself tells a story unlike almost any other game that Star Trek Fleet Captains. Number 2 is D&D, Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing. Now, I could have put Star Trek Attack Wing, that's fun. This is a game that was built on Star Trek Attack Wing, which was built on X-Wing. They actually licensed the system from Fantasy Flight. And Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing, though, for me, brought it up a level because you have these dragons flying around attacking each other, which is awesome. But you also have ground units and magicians and, sorcerers and all different things, and archers and catapults. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like anything new is coming out for the game, which is sad because the game was really fantastic and there was a lot of stuff. And it was one of those games where you want to have more and more units, but you have groups of units running around. I really liked it. It felt deeper. I like it actually better than X-Wing and Star Trek Attack Wing. A solid game, D&D Attack Wing. And my favorite game from Wizkids, to nobody's surprise, is Dice Masters. Whether it's Marvel or DC or Dungeons & Dragons or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or, well, Yu-Gi-Oh! But anyway, I really like Dice Masters. Took the Quarrior system, but then it added in a bunch of Magic the Gathering flair. So it's a collectible game, which normally I would maybe have a problem with, except you can get so much for this game for so little. A starter pack gives you a lot. Booster packs were $1. Any booster pack you got, you could instantly throw into any game. You have these ultimate team-ups between, Spider-Man and Superman on the same team against Iceman, Bishop, and a dragon. It's just really cool, all that you can do, but I think the game itself is a lot of fun too. There is a ton of Dice Master stuff out there, and they keep coming out with more of it, and it's an easy thing to jump into. It is so much fun. It is one of my favorite games of all times. I love it. Those are my favorite games from Wizkids. Tell me what your favorites are. There's many I didn't mention. Batman and Gotham City strategy game. They always trying to innovate. They did that Pirates of the Spanish Main for a while, where you had cards and you punched out ships and drove them around and things. Wizkids is a company that definitely has defined our industry. They are now in a new chapter with new small games. I'm curious to see what happens, but we'll find out as time goes by. Anyway, until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. This has been Best of Publishers, Wizkids.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.